In this video, I'm going to show you how to allocate and unallocate sales credit notes against sales invoices. In the previous videos, I've shown you how to create, raise sales invoices and sales credit notes. I'm now going to show you how to allocate those things together. So if I go to my customer accounts, and if we go to Aviva, first of all, you'll see that on their account is an invoice for 540 and there's a credit note for 540 and they're both outstanding. So even though the balance on the account is 0, it's showing an overdue amount because there's these two amounts outstanding and they haven't been allocated against each other. So how do we do that? How do we allocate this credit note against this invoice? We simply go to Manage and Account Allocation. On the Account Allocation screen, all outstanding invoices and credit notes, as well as payments, but we haven't got to payments yet in the course. Invoices, outstanding credit notes, and outstanding payments will be shown on this screen. And you can see the credit note here and the invoice. And all we simply do is tick the boxes. So I want to allocate this credit note for 540 against this invoice. So 540 against 540. Click Save. And the allocation will be done. You can now see that there's not an overdue balance and there's nothing outstanding. This credit note has been allocated against this invoice, and there's even an account or a customer allocation line showing with the date of the allocation. Now, what happens if the credit note does not equal the invoice amount, or you have a credit note that covers multiple invoices? Well, let's have a look at another customer. Let's go to example customer LTD. Once again, we have an outstanding credit note here for 288, which doesn't match any of the outstanding amounts for the invoices. So how do we deal with this? Well, we go to account allocation still. So the account allocation for this customer. It shows all outstanding invoices, credit notes and payments for this customer. And you can say I have 288 here, credit note. Let's say that credit note should be against this invoice here for 720. If I tick 720, you'll see that there's a balance here left to allocate, 432, which isn't the case. We just want to allocate 288 against this invoice. This is where we click on this little edit button, this pencil button. So if I click on that, I can then change the 720 to 288. Click apply. You can now see left to allocate is 0. And I'm allocating 288. So 288 from this credit note to this invoice. If you're faced with this scenario where the credit note doesn't actually equal the invoice amount, you're always going to have to manually put in the amount of the credit note by using that part pay edit button here, the pencil. If I now click save, that credit note will be allocated against that invoice. So how do we unallocate? Let's just say I've made a mistake and that 288 was actually for a different invoice. How do I unallocate that credit note? I go to the customer allocation transaction that was generated by allocating the 288 against the invoice, and I click on the customer allocation. You can see the credit note 288 against the invoice 288. And all I do is simply untick them and save to unallocate. And this is the same for payments, but I'll be covering payments later in this course. So it's now unallocated. I can now go back to account allocation. And let's say the 288 was actually for this invoice, and part of this one is 48 remaining. So we'll put 48 in here. And apply that. Click Save. And that credit note has now been reallocated. So let's do that one more time. Let's go to Aviva this time. We go to Aviva. Let's say I want to now unallocate, for whatever reason, this credit note against this invoice. I just find the appropriate custom allocation, which should be the same date as the credit note. So if you put things in date order, you should see that the custom allocation is next to or very close to the credit note that you want to unallocate. I untick the boxes, click Save, and now that is unallocated. That's it for now regarding the sales ledger. We will come back to the sales ledger in a later video, but so far in this course I've shown you how to set up Sage, how to get started, how to add customers, how to raise sales invoices, how to amend and edit those invoices, how to add the company logo, delete the invoices, the same with credit notes. I've now shown you how to allocate credit notes against invoices. I want to now move on to the purchase ledger side of things, so looking at suppliers, recording invoices from suppliers, that sort of thing. If you've got this far in the course, well done you. If this course is helpful so far, please like, please subscribe. Please continue with the course. There's still so much to teach you. This is just the bare basics. This software will do so much for you, and it's super handy. If you need a copy of this software, there is a link below. If you've had enough of Sage and you want to try something else, there is an exclusive link below for Xero. I'll speak to you in the next video.